Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sumayya Hassan and welcome to Aspire. In this series where we are talking about building your personal brand, today's session, inshallah, we will talk about networking. Networking, we are told, is very important to enable us build a personal brand. In fact, some people say that the value of your network can be equated to the value of your net worth. That is figuratively, of course, metaphorically, but what it means is that if you look at the networks that somebody has, what that person is then able to do, what they're able to achieve in terms of the connections that they're able to make, or the opportunities that they're able to bring their way and to leverage, is much higher in terms of they have a much higher chance than somebody who doesn't have that opportunity or the same network. So the value of your network can be equated to the value of your net worth. And there are a lot of examples to learn from. There's a lot of guidance, from the Quran, from the Hadith, that tells us about this area around networking, around people coming together, around who do we surround ourselves with, around the importance of being careful and choosy about the people we choose to have in our circles. And hence, it helps us to understand really part of the value of your network and why this is an important part of your personal branding. Allah tells us, for example, in Surah Al-Hujurat, chapter 49, verse 13, O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another. So the whole concept of knowing one another is really part of the whole objective of networking. Who else do you know outside perhaps of your immediate family, outside of the people that you work with immediately in your office? Who do you know in your industry? Who do you know perhaps in the academic field? Who do you know in circles that are relevant to what you're doing, what you seek to do, or your future plans, your future, career growth? And so the ability to know people and have a wide network of connections. And remember, when we talk about networks, it is not only those that are immediately connected to you in terms of you know them, but it is also who do they know. So your network then grows much larger by looking at not only those you know directly, but also who do your networks know. And all this then forms part of your larger network. And when we start looking at part of the power of networks, it is also about the importance of building relationships that contribute to your personal brand. And so therefore, how should you behave within your network? How should you behave in terms of people who you have put within your network or people who have put you in their network? What should be the level of engagement? Remember, if you're looking at this as a professional network, the level of professionalism that you're bringing to bear in terms of your engagement, and it's a two-way street. So it shouldn't constantly be about what you're trying to get out of or almost to extract out of your network, but what do you bring into a network? We are told in a hadith where Rasul Sallallahu reminds us that the best of you is the best of people are those who bring the most benefit to others. And so when you look at your network, usually you will look and see who is that one go-to person that you have. I have a question, I have an issue, I have a concern. Okay, maybe I know one person who is in that field who can guide me. Or I actually don't know where to start, but I have somebody in my network who is my go-to person. Like, even if I don't know the relevant people I should talk to, I go to this person and say, I'm having an issue in this field, or I need to talk to somebody in that field. And this person is the one who then, I know somebody, or I can guide you to this person, or why don't you try this? You know, many of us may be blessed, or some of us may be blessed to have that one person who is like your go-to person in your network, that when you have something, this is the person you immediately want to call, this is the person you want to send a WhatsApp message to. So therefore, my challenge to myself and to you, can you be that go-to person for somebody else? Yes, so that somebody says, oh yes, I have this issue, who should I talk to? They look for you. I need maybe a connection to this and that person or somebody in this field, they come to you. And even though you may not know the people directly, but you know how to get to them. Maybe in your network, you know somebody that can help reach them. So seek to be of most benefit to others, as Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has told us. Sometimes you hear people saying so-and-so has so much resources by way of networks at their disposal, but they're very stingy. They don't want to connect others. You know, they don't want to share. They don't want to use those networks they have to help anybody. And you'll hear, so-and-so, you know, that one, no one benefited from them, even though they were in this position, that position, the other position. And so seek to be that person that people want to have you in their network because you are so beneficial to them, even as you look at who do you have in your own network that then adds value to you. And Rasulullah Sallam reminds us that a Muslim is a brother of another Muslim. So he should not oppress him, nor should he hand him over to an oppressor. And when I reflect on this hadith, as far as networking is concerned, is also looking at us not taking advantage of each other. The fact that within the network, you have somebody who has perhaps a superior or higher level of authority, that should not be a reason for them to take advantage of other people in their network. Remember, the reason for somebody to have you in their network is because of the value they feel that you are going to bring to them. So if we are that person, then our role as one of the members of the network should be to look at how can we create impact, how can we create benefit. Particularly if it ends up being sadaqatul jariyah, you know, it is something that we are doing that creates a lasting impact to somebody, rather than seeking to have an unfair or undue advantage because of a certain position we hold or because of certain resources that we have. The other hadith that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam tells us is that a person is likely to follow the faith of his friend. So look whom you befriend. This is really critical. When we are looking at our networks, who is in our networks? Who is this person that we want to be associated with, that when you look at, the example we have been given about going to a perfume seller, that either they will sell you some or you'll come out smelling nice, or going to somebody who is, working at maybe at the furnace, and either you'll get your clothes burnt or you will be covered in soot. And so at the end of the day, we want to be careful about who we have in our networks. Yes, this person may be extremely influential. Yes, the person may be able to open a lot of doors for you, but at what cost? At what expense to you? At what expense to your reputation? At what expense to your integrity? So be careful about who it is that you have in your network. Remembering that a person is on the faith, upon the faith of his friend. The ability to have individuals who are like-minded. which doesn't mean that all of you think the same way. Part of the value of a network is the diversity that a network brings, but it is about alignment of values. This is really what it is. If you have somebody whose values are so out of line with your own values, do you really want to have this person in your network? Are you confident of your ability to be the one to pull them in, perhaps to your values, rather than them pulling you in to theirs? So the power of a network and the power of looking at the people that you're putting in the network, the alignment of values is very critical. Part of what we want to look at when we're looking at the network is effective communication, such that we are very mindful of how we are engaging, particularly when you're talking about a professional network. What is the language that you use? Are you having a professional network where you're speaking in a manner that is very casual, that is very inappropriate, that does not portray you as an individual who somebody wants to maybe to give a reference for? Somebody wants to make a recommendation, somebody wants to give a character reference, but you're not holding yourself out in that particular manner. And sometimes you attend a professional event, perhaps a professional meeting, and the person sitting across the table conducts themselves or uses language that is so inappropriate that it actually negatively affects whatever transaction. And maybe the deal itself was not a bad deal. It may actually have been a good transaction, but you look at the way this person is conducting themselves and you feel, I don't think I want to get into a transaction with this person. Just the way in which they are conducting themselves, the way they are holding themselves out, is not somebody that I want to be involved in a relationship with. So how you communicate, let it be respectful, let it be professional, choose your words wisely. You're better off being quiet than putting words out there that will be very difficult for you then to retract. Avoid gossip, avoid useless talk that adds no benefit, and be not only clear, but be factual. I was in a meeting recently where somebody used the word most a lot. And this person would say, oh, you know, most of the people in this area do this. And most of the cars in this area are like that. And that word really bothered me. And I said to them, most? What is most? Most is anything between 50.x%, anything above 50% to 99%. So you have a range from 51% to 99% can fall into this category of most. So when you tell somebody most, and this is a professional engagement, you actually come across as being very unprofessional because it sounds like you don't know what you're talking about. So you're now just generalizing and glossing over facts. If you want to be taken seriously in a professional setting, then be specific, be precise. If you want to say that there's X number of people from this area who have graduated in XYZ field, then be precise. 67% of the students at university of this, that, the other come from either this area or are studying this course. You know, be precise. Don't use words like most loosely. There could be a place that is appropriate for that word, but be very careful, particularly in a professional setting, to avoid using words that make you sound like you don't know. And this is one way that you can really destroy your network, and especially when it is a professional network. Part of the value of your network is enabling you to seek knowledge, to enhance and increase your knowledge, and also to share expertise. Remember, we said it's a two-way street. There's a lot that you are able to learn from your network. There's also a lot that you should be able to share with your network. And so when you're looking at seeking to have value, to obtain value from your network, the power of asking for advice and telling somebody, may I seek your advice on an area? And you will find a lot of people, when you come to them from a point of seeking advice, are well willing to share with you their advice. So again, the language is important. The language is important, particularly from somebody who perhaps has more knowledge of a certain area than you. When you go to them seeking advice, rather than wanting to hold yourself out like an equal expert. If you are, that's different. But if you're not, you may end up killing a conversation just because of the language that you're using to approach that. So coming at a topic from a point of view of seeking advice is a very powerful way of learning and leveraging from your network. Be careful before you go to your network to seek for money. That can work very negatively against you, particularly when it looks like you have not been professional and you haven't been very thorough in what it is you're seeking to do, which is not to say that that network should not be a source of funding. If, for instance, you have a very good business idea, by all means, go to your network, but don't take them for granted, is the point I'm making. If there's somebody you know in your network, it could be family, it could be a friend, it could be a business associate, and you believe these people would be interested in funding a business idea you have, be professional. Prepare your business plan, do your market research, have a very clear and concise proposal, even when you're talking to a family member, and say, I have this idea, this is the gist of my idea, this is what I believe and why I believe this idea will work, this is my target market, these are my expected returns, these are the projections on my numbers, and this is how much I need, and this is what I'm offering you in return. So when you do that, then you make your network feel valued, feel respected, because you have done your work even when you approach them, rather than you looking like you're being casual just because it is people that you know. Ensure when dealing with your network that you demonstrate integrity and truthfulness, remembering that we have been told by Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam that whoever believes in Allah in the last day should fulfill his commitment. So you want to keep your word. Ensure that you keep your word. And he also told us that the truthful and trustworthy merchant is with the prophets, the truthful, and the martyrs. So it is critical as part of you having a very robust and reliable network that you keep your word. Be known as a person of integrity, as a person who keeps their word, because that then also will flavor the type of network you've built around you. Have you built a network that is strong and reliable and that you can go to for a number of, different things? Or is your network just a network of, a hodgepodge of different individuals you have gathered that you can't rely on them really for any one thing because of the type of people you've put in your network? But in many instances, you really get what you give. If you are holding yourself out to be that person of integrity, it is highly likely that the people in your network will reflect that integrity back. So be very careful what you're putting out and how it reflects on what you expect to receive. So finally, when we talk about applying networking, and particularly how it relates to personal branding, what else can you do and where else can you build your network? So a few pointers from myself: industry events, conferences, seminars. This will allow you to connect with professionals in your field. So if that's the type of network you're looking to build, your professional network, this is a good place. And it could also be online communities that are related to your industry, that are related to your interests. And again, be very careful in how you're engaging online. Be careful on which communities that you're visiting, because even that brands you in a certain way. You don't want to be in certain areas, certain sites that then actually negatively impacts your brand instead of you building a brand. You want to be in professional online fora that build your brand. And in this fora, You also want to look at how much are you engaging in those fora. It's a professional forum. How often have you posted something that is relevant to that industry? This is part of building your network, because you start being known as somebody who has something to contribute to their field. Maybe somebody asks a question. Do you have something that can contribute by way of an answer? Again, that builds your professional network. So you don't want to be a silent lacquer in a professional forum. You want to build your network through having well-researched, well thought out, maybe write-ups that every once in a while, you have a program, you post them. This is one way of building your professional network. Seeking mentorship and guidance from experienced professional is another way of building your network, particularly your professional network. The reverse is equally true. Offering assistance and support to others by sharing your knowledge, by sharing your expertise. Volunteering, very important in building your personal network. So this could be for community service initiatives, and that enables you to contribute to society. Remember, we talk about being of most benefit to the community, and through that, you broaden your network incredibly. Maintaining regular communication with your contacts. So within your network, try not to be that person who only reaches out to people when they have a problem or they have a need. Every once in a while, just drop a note to somebody just to greet them. Find out how they are, how are you doing, how is your career developing? Last time we met, you were undertaking this course, how did it go? Did you finish? Just, it's good manners. And good manners will get you very far, very far. Remember Rasulullah told us, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. Good manners is a tremendous thing in our faith, and have that good manners including in your network. Don't look for people only because you have a problem. Look for them just to find out how they are. And every once in a while, go out with somebody in your network. Can we have a coffee? Let's just catch up. What else is happening in the industry? You catch up, and this really helps to strengthen your network. When you engage with people, even when you don't need anything from them, just by way of maintaining your communications. And finally, be genuine, be respectful, and be approachable in your interactions. So inshallah, by applying these principles, my prayer is that this helps both you and myself to build networks that are very robust, networks that are very useful and strong, and that enable us to receive value just as we offer value. Ladies and gentlemen, Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.